These mistakes are really to point out to the younger people from the older people problems that happen as you get a bit older. So if you're going to supervise someone as a supervisor, then supervise, keep an eye on them. So we have a lot of trainees and they're all very good. So I was supervising an overseas trainee doing an endoscopic carpal tunnel. They'd done many before. They were a very capable surgeon. All seemed a bit routine. I was having a chat to the anaesthetist, and as I turned to look at the monitor, the median nerve disappeared. So that was repaired, but continued to have some median nerve dysfunction. So in the preoperative consultation, even though it's incredibly rare, that's the first one in 35 years, I still mention to patients the risk of nerve damage. And I discussed the problem with the patient afterwards, and fortunately she said, well, that's okay, you did warn me. So lesson number one for the younger surgeons is always discuss risks with the patient, no matter how boring it is. It may be the 3,000th carpal tunnel you've done, but it's the first one they have done. And you'll certainly save a lot of money and embarrassment later on. And to the more senior surgeons, if you're going to supervise, actively supervise, because they're trainees, don't get too complacent. So the second, and there's a theme with all of these, is a young patient presented with a ganglion on the volar aspect of his wrist and went off to the operating theatre, and I reviewed the consent form which said removal of ganglion. I didn't see the patient pre-op or pre-anaesthetic. I didn't re-examine him, and it's impossible to remove a volar wrist ganglion from the back of the wrist. So that led to an embarrassing appearance in court. So the lesson from that is to always write the full procedure on the consent form, site, side, finger, location. Always confirm the procedure with the patient before the anaesthetist gets a hold of them. Mark the surgical incision, not just the limb, and check notes. So think before you leap. Gets worse. A young patient of malunited Bennett's fracture, fairly progressive post-traumatic osteoarthritis, ideally would be suited for a CMC fusion, which we did, and it failed, which does sometimes happen. And as the plate became quite loose, there were very significant holes in the bone, so we couldn't replate this, so I ended up putting in multiple Kirschner wires. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, he ruptured his FDP from his index finger. Third surgery was a flexor tendon graft. Fourth surgery was a flexor tenolysis. Fifth surgery was release of a PIP joint contracture. The CMC fusion did eventually unite, but his index finger didn't do very well. So looking at the patient, is not as good as image intensifier. So one thing I have learned and taught the trainees is to always check the position of your K-wires, your screws. We've all seen flexor tendons, extensor tendons damaged with prominent screws. So if you can't visualize the whole implant with your eyes, then certainly use X-rays. It's amazing how very little prominence of a screw tip can cause tendon damage. So what I've learned from all of these and many others is that most mistakes are in fact from taking shortcuts, from being overconfident, from being a bit lazy. We do thousands and thousands of cases, and you have to be right on the ball for every single one of them. Common thing someone would say is, I've done so many of these, I could do them all in my sleep. So routines and safeguards such as timeout do work. So the important thing, the lesson is to check, 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 and then check again. Patients will accept that errors can occur. So be open when you're discussing mistakes, because patients know when you're lying. They do respect honesty. So well-informed patients, be careful, look at your consent forms, reassess the patient before you operate. Thank you.